son, son of a son, son of a son of a sailor.
Good morning, South Coast. This is Eric Dawicki, president of Northeast Maritime Institute, bringing you Maritime Matters on WBSM 1420 AM radio. I'll tell you, I've got a great show this morning with 3 students from Northeast Maritime Institute's Associate of Applied Science and Nautical Science degree. And as you know, Northeast Maritime Institute is the newest college in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and it is actually the first private maritime college in the history of the United States. So we're lucky to have some students. We've got Mason Evich from Fairhaven here, right, one of our own, and Brad Springer from Auburn, New York, and Jordan Groover from Savannah, Georgia. And we're here to chat with them this morning. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is an exciting time for me because you fellas are part of the second group, the second cohort that we've enrolled, and which is a much larger cohort than the first. And really what we're going to do is talk about your experience and why you got here and you know what motivated you to get into the maritime industry. So Jordan, you're from Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
And you have a little bit of a maritime background. What got you interested in this industry?
All of my life, my dad's really just pushed it, I guess you could say. He's been working in the maritime industry since, before I was born, so it's just always been something I wanted to do.
So a bit of a son of a sailor type thing, huh?
Yes, sir.
What about you? You have an interest? Are you excited about it? Do you love being on the water?
Yes, sir. It's very peaceful for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of peace, I know, for myself as soon as I get on the water. Yeah. And Brad, you came to us from New York.
Yes, that's correct.
And what got you interested in the maritime industry?
Essentially, I've been around the water and boats pretty much my whole life. My grandparents went up and down the ICW. I was born and raised on one of the Finger Lakes. I've been boating for as long as I can remember. So I was in sales for most of my professional career. Wasn't a huge fan of sales in general, so I just decided, life's too short. I wanted to change, do something that I enjoyed, so here I am.
That's pretty cool. You are an older student, if I can say that politically correct.
Yeah, I'm 41.
Nice. And so you decided to come into this 2-year program because?
I already have a bachelor's degree from Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. And I didn't want to start at the bottom of the marine industry, but I also didn't want to go to school for a full 4 years. I didn't want to take that much time, so I thought associate's degree would fit in nicely with where I was and where I wanted to be.
Sure, and I think one of the neat things about this degree at Northeast Maritime is it really kind of catapults you into the industry much quicker than other degree programs, and the earnability is just as good, which is really nice. So, Mason, you're here from Fairhaven.
Yes, sir.
And I've known you, quite honestly, since you were a little kid.
Oh, yeah.
You went to school with my daughter. And, it is exciting for me to have you in class, not only because you went to school with my daughter, but I grew up with your mom as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat thing to have somebody from town go to the school. And what got you interested in the maritime industry?
Yeah, I was, my father been fishing, and he went to the Northeast Maritime when he was younger, and he loved it, and he went and worked on tugboats for a while, and then he went fishing, and when I was really young, I went with him when I was 12 years old, and I loved it, and then I went in the summers, and then my mom, when I got a little bit older, I wanted to be a fisherman. My mom kind of talked me out of that really quickly. And then she was like, hey, Eric is having the college 2-year associate's degree at the school. And I was like, all right, let's go check it out. And I went to the open house, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what did you see that got you excited?
Oh, just like the community, the building, the simulators downstairs, just all of that stuff. I loved it.
Yeah, nice. I love hearing that because I had to stay away from talking to you too much. I didn't want to influence you and have that go sour on me. So I'm glad you feel that way.
Oh,
That's for sure. So Jordan, Savannah, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
You you live in an area that one of my shipmates grew up in, Scott Noonan, who actually knows your dad.
Yes, sir.
And he really was one of my favorite people at sea, and in my life, we still get together about once a year. And you live in a great region. You grew up in a great region, and your dad is a pilot bringing vessels up into the Savannah River, right?
Yes, sir. My dad's a river pilot in Savannah.
Okay, so he's been doing this since he was a kid, and it's kind of a neat story. He started off, I think, driving people as a driver for the Pilots Association, driving the pilots back and forth, and the next thing he knew, he was a pilot. So yeah, pretty much. Kind of it's what I remember of this. The bits of the story that he told me, and it's kind of a great story in a sense that it shows people that you can really get into an industry and a career through ingenuity and hard work. And I know he was more excited about you doing it a little bit differently and having a degree program to make your entry into the industry a little bit faster.
Correct. My junior year of high school, they changed the apprenticeship program around. Therefore, I'm the first one to go through have to go to college for my apprenticeship.
Yeah. So you're going to be an apprentice pilot.
Yes, sir.
And that's the career path that's been laid out for you. And I know we've had to look into some regulations to make sure that you still have the same career path that you would have if you went to one of the 4-year academies. You can go to this 2-year school institute and basically get the same career path taken care of, but actually do it a little bit faster, which is kind of neat.
And make some money along the way.
And make some money while you're doing it,
right.
Which I love that fact for sure. Now, Jordan, you have a rich heritage family-wise. Have you ever driven any boats with your dad up the river and watched him do his thing?
I've probably been on roughly throughout my life, probably 10 to 15 ships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that fascinating for you?
Yeah, it's fun. It's amazing the view you get from the bridge.
Yeah.
It's a sight for sure.
It definitely is. Yeah. I actually probably we've got to figure out how to describe that, because that is a really phenomenal experience when you're looking at all facets of the river, of the ocean, from a bridge that's high up in the air, the bridge of a ship, and you see everything, but there's this mysticism that comes along with that. It really is neat. So, Brad, what are you hoping to do when you graduate?
I haven't exactly decided. Obviously, I want a career in the marine industry. I sail quite a bit. That's something I really enjoy. So I'd begin to look towards the tall ships, I guess.
Oh, I like hearing that.
Yeah. So that's definitely an option. And then if not, maybe either a tug I thought of, but I haven't really made up my mind yet. I don't want to close any doors quite yet.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, that's the neat part about this program is you get internships, and you can intern on several different varieties of vessels before you make a decision as to where you want to steer your career.
Yeah, I think that'd be interesting.
And like many of us, we never stuck it out with one type of vessel throughout our whole career. So,
right,
which is pretty neat. And Mason, I'm going to ask you the same question. Have you thought about what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm almost positive what I want to do. I think when I have my first internship in the summer, I want to go on a tugboat for maybe a company like Boston Towing or something like that. And then when I graduate, I would definitely want to get in the tugboat industry.
Okay, good. And what have you heard about? Your dad was on tugs?
Yeah, my dad did tugging for a while, and he loved it. And then he made a bad decision and went fishing.
Well,
now he wants to go back.
He can always
so,
go back. Yeah,
yep,
we
he
can
wants
always
to now.
help him do that
Yep.
because he's certainly qualified enough.
Yeah.
So, in the tug industry, you can carry different type of cargoes, including even containers that are barged nowadays. Liquid cargo, which is typically petroleum products, which is the highest paying job. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Did you know that a tug captain earns about $275,000 a year carrying liquid petroleum?
I did not know that.
Yeah. I did not know that until about 2 weeks ago when one
Wow.
of our students came in and he said, Eric, I'm making over $275,000 a year.
Wow.
I thought, wow, I think I'm going to quit my job.
Yeah.
So
That's not bad at all.
It's pretty exciting, when there's so much great earnability. So you enrolled. What was the enrollment process like? Who wants to speak first on that one?
Well, for me, it was a little bit different, seeing as how I did already attend college. I didn't have, my college transcripts were so far back. I'm not even sure my high school transcripts are so far back, I don't think they have them anymore.
Well,
So I submitted my college transcripts, and that went pretty smoothly after that. But I still had to do the standard, the application and the essay and come in for the interview.
okay.
So it was relatively painless in that respect.
Yeah. And what about you, Mason?
Yeah, I did the application. I went in for the open house. I liked the open house a lot. And I think that's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then you walked to the school for the interview?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
yeah.
I walked.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually very cool. You're one of the reasons why we started the school is getting local kids to get excited about this industry as well. And what about yourself?
I'd say the worst part was flying. It's not that I don't like flying. I just don't like the time in between. But I love the interview.
Yeah.
I love the campus. The application was easier than a lot of colleges I've ever applied to. So, therefore, it was a pretty easy process.
Yeah. That's one of the things we wanted to really make sure we would do is make the application process pretty easy. We don't require SATs. We don't require ACTs for enrollment. It's which is kind of interesting because of 80 schools just announced last weekend, 80 universities across the nation announced that they were not going to require SATs and ACTs.
Wow.
And while we got a hard time about that initially when we told the state that we weren't going to require that, it seems to be trending, which is an interesting thing because I don't think test taking decides who is going to be successful or not. So I'm kind of happy that we don't put you guys under that stress. So tell me about your impression of Fairhaven. You're here?
Fairhaven's nice. It's a small town. I come from a very rural area, so this is a little bit more city-like than I'm used to. But it's a very nice little town. The actual area where the school is really nice. You can kind of walk everywhere. It's more like a residential neighborhood almost.
Yeah.
Which makes things a lot nicer. So it's pretty nice. And then especially when you get down towards the coast and you have the fort and the hurricane barrier.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice little area. I sat out there and did homework the other day. That was pretty nice.
I love hearing that. Yeah. So it's funny because Fairhaven all of a sudden has found itself to be a college town. And, overnight, literally. And people didn't even know what Northeast Maritime was. And, all of a sudden we're announcing publicly that we became a college. And people were kind of excited about it. And all I keep hearing about is, hey, it's so great seeing the students down in the center of Fairhaven actually spending money at the restaurants and hanging out. We got to get you guys a coffee shop. That's what we've got to do. But it is pretty cool, and it really looks like a European college town. That's how they set up these colleges and universities in Europe. They kind of just integrate in between residential and commercial areas, and it's kind of neat seeing it develop. So, Mason, you're a native of Fairhaven. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I grew up in Fairhaven. I've lived here like all my life, and I love it. You know, I've been like other places in the world, and around the country, and I always come back home. You know, I don't have any desire to go really anywhere else, but it's just the historical buildings in the center and around town. I mean, just the waterfront it's like everything you could ask for.
Yeah. What do you think about having a college in your hometown?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, it's not far down from my house, and I like how how you're expanding in the 3 buildings around town, and they're all in walking distance. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. Now, Jordan, I've always said Fairhaven is the one southern town in New England. People actually wave to each other when they drive by and walk by, and they're pretty friendly. How are you feeling? Our quote unquote southern hospitality here?
Yeah, y'all are doing okay. Pretty much, we ended up meeting the neighbors that are around our house, and our house is only about a block and a half away from any building on campus. So therefore, it works out really nice because I don't like to walk in the cold. So,
Sure.
But no, the neighbors are really nice. One of the neighbors ended up introducing us to her granddaughters, which is super nice. But her grandchildren. But it was. I mean, everyone's super nice. Everything's super close. I really like it.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't use a lot of gas.
Yeah, good. So just to let the audience know, one of your fellow students, his parents bought
he ended up
a house?
Yeah, he ended up buying a house. I think it's right off Middle Street. It's right on Middle Street. And there are 4 of us that actually are in cohort 2 are living in the house, plus an extra roommate who's a friend of one of the kids in the cohort.
Okay, well, great. So that's working out well.
Yeah, it's working out well.
It's we see that the house is being also restored and painted, and it's a beautiful house.
Yes, sir.
Which is great for the community as well. There's outside investment coming in, and we're excited about that.
Yeah.
That's
my bedroom has 6 missing floorboards that pull up, which is really weird.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure those get fixed for you.
There we go.
It's a historical house, which is neat.
Yeah, it's cool. It creaks and moans, and all the doors open up on their own.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I like it.
I'm as you know, I buy old buildings and restore them, old historic buildings. That's my passion. So I was excited that you guys are living in a nice historic home, which is pretty neat. So you started your classes, and we're going to talk about your classes in a little bit here. So you have to think about what your favorite class is. We're gonna get there pretty soon. But anything that you have seen in the neighborhood that you would like to add into the center of Fairhaven to help augment your experience as a college student? That's a tough question. I'm thinking coffee shop.
Yeah.
We got to motivate somebody to open a coffee shop in the center.
Coffee shop with some Wi-Fi so we can use the internet to do the plastic test.
Practicals, yeah.
We are
the practice
testing
tests.
things that we have online.
Yeah, because you know what? Another thing we should let people know is Northeast Maritime Institute has the first online maritime learning system, learning management system in the world, and so our programs are going to be expanded to anywhere in the world, and actually you can do them right on your smartphone. All these systems you can study and watch video and do everything, and it's interactive simulation as well that's being developed, which is going to be really cool for you guys to be able to augment your learning experience outside of the classroom. And it's not going to be like homework that I grew up with that was in YouTube. It's
very different from what I had in high school.
It's kind of fun, which is fascinating for me, especially. So, okay, this is Eric Dawicki, president of Northeast Maritime Institute, and I'm here with 3 of our students Mason Evich from Fairhaven, Massachusetts, Brad Springer from Auburn, New York, and Jordan Groover. We're going to come right back on Maritime Matters, WBSM 1420 AM radio. Good Sunday morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Eric Dawicki, president of Northeast Maritime Institute, bringing you Maritime Matters on WBSM. I've got three of our students from Northeast Maritime Institute as my guests this morning, and we've had a great conversation so far. Kind of the neat thing about what we're doing here today is we've got a local kid, Mason Evich, right from Fairhaven. We've got Brad Springer from Auburn, New York, and Jordan Groover from Savannah, Georgia, who travel a little bit of a distance to get here. So one of the questions we talked about during the break was, how did you guys hear about us? How did you hear about us, Brad?
Well, I found it on the internet, stumbled across the website. I had looked around all over at all the other various academies, Maine and Mass, and some of the New York ones, but they were all more or less geared towards a military-type aspect, and I didn't want any part of that. So I wanted the smaller school with a shorter program, and here I am.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. You have a couple of types of personalities. You've got people who want a more regimented experience, and my experience in the Merchant Marine, and I'm a former Coast Guardsman as well, so I had the military experience. Then when I went into the Coast Guard, it was much more relaxed and low key. There was really no hint of a regimented or military style of operation outside of the positions. And I thought when we were designing this college that no, we're not going to do a regimented program. We're going to treat you like college students and make sure you guys really are comfortable with just learning, and all the other stuff will fall into place. And we'll talk about the other character traits of the program and what you guys are doing in terms of keeping the facilities clean and your community service, because I think those things are important. But it's nice that you said that, because it was really one of my goals to make sure our students didn't feel like they were in a regimented program. Mm-hmm. So Mason, what you found out a little bit through obviously your mom.
Yeah.
But what's driving you really towards that career?
Well, pretty much like my dad was showing me all the stuff about it and everything that he learned throughout the years and going through the school and going on tugboats and stuff. And then I was kind of looking at Mass Maritime, and then the same thing what Brad said. It was like 4 years, and it was geared like more like military style, and I wasn't really like a big fan of that. So then I went, and my mom told me about the Northeast Maritime, so I went over and I checked it out, and it was just it suited me way better with the smaller classes and everything like that.
Yeah. Now, have you had a lot of support during your classes in terms of tutoring support systems and student services?
Yeah, we have, there's only 10 kids in the cohort, so we get like equal amount of attention from the teacher, and we have a tutor come every Wednesday from, I think, like 3 o'clock to 5.
Great. So
we go there every Wednesday, and we have gaps in between classes where we can do homework and study. It's great.
The smaller nature of the school also allows for greater access to our professors when we're not in class. Captain Tom walks around the building that we spend most of the time in all the time. So do several other of the professors. So it makes it very easy to flag one down and ask a question while you're doing your homework or something.
Yeah. That's great to hear. It really is. I mean, it's the vision is coming true. So it's nice to hear it from you guys, from mouth to my ears. So it's really great. So, Jordan, you've got an interesting story about how you heard about us. It's kind of thrilling for me because there is a direct correlation to relationship with me as well.
Apparently you sailed with someone who now lives in Savannah, and they're everyone's mutual friends with my dad and your friend. So that's how that worked out, I guess. And then I heard about it through that, and then I, like y'all said about the military background aspect of it, I've done that at a maritime college already, and it's not that it didn't work out for me, it just, I guess, didn't quite suit me. I needed to be regimented, but not I didn't want to do military.
Sure.
So I didn't see why I needed to do it.
Yeah.
But I stuck it out why I did it. So I did that part of my life, and I don't know. I like this better here. Like Mason said, the small classrooms, the small class sizes are awesome. The ability to utilize all your classmates also is great because it's very small, so it's such a tight-knit program. Everyone can learn off of everyone, so it's kind of adds another thing and aspect into the learning process.
Sure, that's the concept called a cohort and cohort style of education, where not only are you learning from your teachers, you're learning from each other, and you get to take all your classes together and do pretty much the same program. So while it's not regimented in the military sense, it's very regimented in its structure and keeping you guys busy during the day. We like to have you busy between 8 and 5, and the reason is, you guys are young, and we want you to learn how to become, adults relatively quickly, but we want you to slowly enter that world, and by staying busy, we don't get in any trouble, and that's really why we designed it that way. But we absolutely didn't want you to feel like you were in the military, and we're trying to drive this education through compassion, quite frankly. So it's nice to hear you say that, and the only thing is we got to figure out how to get you guys some exercise. We got to figure out some type of program, and I'm saying that looking at Mason Evich, whose aunt has some whaleboats to row. So that's what I'm hoping that you guys do, a whaleboat rowing club, so we can compete against these local teams. That would be a lot of fun. They're just laughing, folks. Rowing is pretty tough, actually. That's funny. So we talked as well about what your favorite class was going to be. So not to put you on the spot, so I'm going to ask you about your nautical science classes, and then I'm going to ask you about your general education classes. So what's your favorite class, Brad?
I would have to say probably nautical science and then basic marine safety. Those are the ones that I've learned the most in so far. There's overlap between the two, so you'll go over subject matter A in one of the classes, and you'll go over half of that subject matter again in the other class because they're so closely related, and it helps with your retention and the learning in general. So that's been for me an interesting course.
Yeah. Now what are you learning that's exciting?
We've been going over a lot of the light patterns and the coal regs, which is the rules of the road, and those were neat. I've glanced over them before over the years, but I've never really studied them in depth, and that was neat. It was neat to learn a lot of the light systems, the logic behind the light system. Before this, I just assumed they just chose a pattern that would look different from another pattern, when reality is there's actually a logic to how the light patterns work, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Like when we drive cars, we have roads and we have stop lights and stop signs and yellow lights and green lights, and ladies and gentlemen, we have to do the same thing at sea, especially in inland waters where you're going to have more and more vessels or more traffic, and so you have to operate with a certain set of rules, and those are the collision regulations, or what we call rules of the road. So that's neat that you're talking about those patterns, because they're extremely well thought out.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting stuff.
So Mason, what are your favorite classes?
Probably right now my favorite class I would probably say would be marine safety. It's just like more hands-on than the other classes. I mean, we actually do stuff, and it's like we did CPR already with the mannequins, and we did what else did we do? First aid. Just more hands-on. I like it a lot.
Yeah. I smell a Coast Guardsman coming.
Yeah, and it's
that'll be one of my tricks. I'm going to try and talk one of you into the Coast Guard.
And we just do more stuff that, like, when you get on a boat in the internship or when you get a job, like, it's the stuff you really need to know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm kind of on the same boat as with Brad. It's the two classes overlap so much. Really, all the information is interesting to me, to where it's much easier for me to retain.
Sure.
Just because it's interesting. But honestly, it's probably, I'd say nautical science if I had to pick one, just because basic marine safety is interesting to me, and I understand the concept behind it for obviously safety measures. But I just like learning new stuff.
Sure.
And it's interesting to learn more about the industry.
Yeah. And really the background of why we do what we do.
Right.
And it's, the maritime industry is the most regulated industry in the world. People don't know that, more so than the airline industry, more so than the pharmaceuticals industry, any industry. It is the most regulated industry in the world. So you have to become doctors, lawyers, accountants, psychologists, sociologists, and by the time you become a captain, you really have to know an immense amount of things. And while you won't be expert in any one of them, except for maritime operations, ship operations, you'll have to know enough about each one of those subjects to be able to manage that vessel, which is kind of neat. So what about, you're not only just taking nautical science classes. Like every college, you have to take your general education classes. Tell me, any one of those stand out in your first semester?
I guess I would say English for me. Math and I have never really gotten along, so I struggle in that one a little bit. In English, I enjoy reading a lot, and she has us read, so that kind of fits.
Nice. Mason?
Let's see. Probably, yeah, same thing with Brad. I'm not really good in math that much, so I'd probably have to say I like psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good, neat.
Yep.
Neat. Jordan?
I'd have to say math because I'm terrible at English.
Yeah.
And I can't write, so.
Yeah. So, which is interesting that you guys have talked about that, because I think we probably have the most outstanding math teacher in the area teaching you guys, who really makes sure you understand it in a way that is kind and compassionate, and she knows all kinds of different techniques and to make sure you get what it is she's teaching. And then English, we had one of your previous cohorts, in the first cohort, we had a kid the same way. He spoke the same way, and he actually ended up getting, I think, a B plus in English last year. No, he actually got an A in English, and he was stunned. And you've got a great English professor, which is just really kind of neat. But it's nice to know that you're not all on the same page, and you have different learners. And so I love the fact that you enjoy psychology, Mason. What part of psychology do you like?
Well, right now I learned about stuff in the brain, how why people do stuff, why, what about the brain, how it moves your body and the reactions and all that stuff like that. I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I looked at the curriculum when it was developed, and it seemed like a pretty neat class. So what books, Brad, are you enjoying?
Well, right now we're reading one by Stephen King, but I'm looking forward to reading Old Man and the Sea again.
Yeah.
I've read it before, but it's it's one of Hemingway's best.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. It is a great book.
Yeah,
I read it again maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah, so I've actually read it twice, so this will be number 3. So
nice.
I'm looking forward to it again.
Fun. And Jordan, math. What are you guys learning in math?
We've gone over just word problems, graphing, such stuff like that.
Oh, so you're doing that right out of the box.
Yes, sir.
So my least favorite thing to do in my life was word problems. And yet I understand you guys are actually doing well with the word problems.
Maybe.
So yeah. It well, there's lights going off because your professor is kind of excited about your group, so which is nice.
It's good.
Okay, well, we're talking about nautical science classes and English and math classes and psychology classes at Northeast Maritime Institute, our area's brand new college, located here in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, and getting kids ready to work, and it's pretty exciting. So this is Eric Dawicki, president of Northeast Maritime Institute, delivering Maritime Matters here on WBSM 1420 AM radio. Good morning, South Coast. This is Eric Dawicki, president of Northeast Maritime Institute, delivering Maritime Matters here on WBSM 1420 AM radio. I'm here with 3 students from Northeast Maritime Institute talking about their experience at the new college here in Fairhaven, Massachusetts. And we've got one local young man, Mason Evich from Fairhaven, a young man from New York, Brad Springer, and a young man from Savannah, Georgia, Jordan Groover. And I'll tell you what, it's been fun chatting with you guys because I actually get to hear some of the things you're experiencing, and really I haven't had enough time to visit with you like I have the first group, but I'm excited to actually get to listen to you as well as talk to you here this morning on WBSM. So I'll tell you what, let's talk about the small school experience. And Northeast Maritime Institute's College of Maritime Science was designed to have small groups of students enroll, to make sure the classroom size was small, but also make sure your experience was alive and you didn't feel like a number. And so what a couple of you have been to other colleges, and what has that experience been like for you, Brad, coming from a relatively larger school and now coming to a real small school here in a small community?
Yeah, the difference has been great as far as I'm concerned. RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York, it was a great school, but it was a very large school. I had classes, with 50 and 60 other students, and in that kind of setting, you just can't get a one-on-one with your teachers. It just doesn't happen. They have too much other stuff to do. And here, I know I touched on this earlier, as an example, Captain Tom walks around the building all the time. We see him, 7-8 times a day, and we only have one class with him. So we have plenty of time to talk with him. I have the personal contact info, cell phone numbers, and addresses, actually, of several of my professors. That would never happen at a larger school, ever. So it's been a big plus in my book.
How does that help you out in creating relationships with the other students?
I think it's good. You can get help from the teacher, then turn around and help your other classmates. So in that sense, it's good, and the fact that we're all there most of the day together creates an atmosphere where me being by far the oldest one at 41, my next classmate is 21. I think is the next oldest. Wow. Under ordinary circumstances, we would never really have a whole lot of interaction. Under this circumstance, I know them all very well at this point. We've only been here 3-4 weeks now.
Yeah. So you guys seem to really hit it off well. I walk in once in a while, and I see you guys hanging out in the front of the Center Street building at Integrity Hall, and that's kind of neat for me to see you guys hanging out there and studying together and doing your work together. And Mason, how's that affect you? You didn't want to go to a big school. You wanted a smaller school where you could really take advantage of the small classes.
Yeah, definitely. I went with the smaller school because I like the small classes. That's what pretty much sold me, is when I had probably the max is 16, and we had 10 kids in the cohort this year with my semester, and just with the teacher and all the kids I met and whatever. And I'm from Fairhaven, so I got to know them pretty well because the kids not from around here needed my help with some stuff, so I just helped them out, told them where to eat, where good stores were, stuff like that.
Sure. Jordan?
Well, the first college I went to, Texas A&M, I actually went to a smaller campus of it, variation of it. But so I had like a small school experience, not this small, but a small school experience. But then I also got the big school experience as well from the main campus, which was kind of the best of both worlds. But this, you get much more one-on-one time, and from what I've experienced from my first try at college, I definitely need it.
Yeah. So that's really helping you out.
Oh, for sure.
Considerably.
Yes, sir.
And what about doing your homework with your buddies, your classmates?
Yeah.
Is that helping out?
It helps out a lot, and plus I'm rooming with 3 people that are taking the same classes as me as well, so you can always ask.
Sure, absolutely.
If it's past 5 and I can't get anyone, I can always ask them.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the exciting things is everybody's approachable at the Institute, and I think the neat part is I get to even meet all of you students and get to know your names, and we have about 800 adult students coming through the school annually. We used to have 2,300, and I would see people and I would see their faces, and I just would never remember everybody's names. And so it's kind of neat for me to see you students in the college program. It's small enough where I can remember everybody's name and get to chat with you and pick your brains once in a while. And that's kind of a neat experience as well, because we can really enhance things or improve on things as we go as a result of these relationships. And I think that's the critical thing in the maritime industry is your success is only going to be based on your relationships. 2 of you are here because of relationships. I'm glad you found us on the internet, Brad, but man, I wish I would have known you beforehand. It's and I think the only way we populate the school is you guys tell your friends back home and let people know, hey, this is a different experience, and we need to pass that word on to make sure the school continues and thrives and grows, quite honestly. So it really is exciting. Anybody have any fish and chips in Fairhaven yet? No fish and chips? Well, Mason, I know you've had.
Yeah, obviously.
So you guys gotta try some fish and chips. You guys gotta try the chowder. Oh. You got to try fried clams. If you haven't tried fried clams, by God, I'm going to tell everybody a little bit of a secret. There is a general store on West Island in Fairhaven. So you drive down Sconnick Neck Road, you take a left on Goulart Memorial Drive or West Island Road, and you go all the way up the hill, and there's a little general store on the right-hand side called McIntyre, I think. General store, and it's a white building, but behind that white building is a food truck. Oh. And on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays and Sundays, they make fried clams, fried scallops, and they don't fry them in that heavy, thick, terrible oil. These are the best fried clams I've ever had. So McIntyre General Store on West Island. It's worth the drive. You guys who have a car, get in a car and drive and have some fried clams. It is. You won't believe how good they are. And if you grossed out about the idea of eating fried clams, if you're not from around here, try it out. It's a delicacy. It really is. And I'm giving these guys a plug not because of I have any association with them, but because their fried clams are so good. I want everybody to have that experience. It's really fantastic. So let's get back to. We talked a little bit about rowing, and Brad, you said during the break, "Hey, let's talk a little bit more about rowing. What's this all about?"
So, obviously, I've seen it before. I went to Mystic when I was younger, to their sailing camps and stuff, so I'm familiar with the concept. I always assumed it was more of a, we did it at Mystic because they were teaching us something. I didn't know that people actually did this as competition.
Yeah. So what happened basically around 1996, 1997 is the New Bedford or the Whaling City Rowing Club was developed. And we used to actually, at our old building in New Bedford, we used to let them have space for free to run the Whaling City Rowing Club. And they started building fiberglass hulls based on the design of the old whaleboats. So these are the whaleboats are the ones that you launch like a lifeboat over the side of a whale ship, and that's what you go chase the whales with. So what they did is they designed this into rowing boats, and there's competitions up and down the East Coast, but specifically in New Bedford. And these whaleboats, they're just a blast to row. And so we have the Whaling City Rowing Club and the Buzzards Bay Whaling Club, Whaleboat Club here in Fairhaven. And I think it's something you guys definitely want to try because it's great exercise, but it's really a lot of fun to get out there and compete. And man, it is a good time. So what you guys have to do is decide to reach out to probably the Buzzards Bay Whaling Club because they're right near you guys, and figure out how to get access to those boats and start a rowing club for NMI and start competing because they had just had competitions for the Waterfront Festival, Working Waterfront Festival, and they have competitions throughout the summer in July and I think during other parts of the year. But man, they're a dedicated group of people who row these things, and
sounds like fun. I think we should.
I think we got to get you motivated to reach out, and we'll do that maybe today or tomorrow, and figure out how to develop that because we've been invited actually. But I wanted Mason to make it happen.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep on Mason then.
And Jordan, rowing in the wintertime is the most fun thing you ever do. Trust me. Trust me.
We're going to dress you up like Santa Claus.
I won't be able to row. I'll have so many clothes on.
It's a lot harder than it looks, rowing. I'll tell you that. That's the only thing I'm going to tell you.
It is harder than it looks, but after a while, it really becomes a lot of fun. So we've got a couple more minutes. What are you looking forward to most, Jordan, when you graduate?
I'm looking forward to just becoming a pilot in the future. But other than that, going to sea for a little while and just having some fun experiences, like traveling the world.
Yep. It's make sure you keep a journal because that's the best thing I ever did. Mason?
When I graduate, I want to get into a good tugboat company, I think, and just try to hire my rank up in the company, try to work my way up and see where it'll get me.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Going to sea, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued that you like the tall ship industry.
I've been a sailor my whole life. I did 3 trips aboard the Brilliant, which is out of Mystic.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to get on Fritha.
Yeah.
So
that's Northeast Maritime Institute's brigantine, and you guys are going to have a ball on Fritha. Yeah.
So I love sail. Always have.
Nice. And there's nothing better than sailing a tall ship, especially a square rig.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I missed seeing the Morgan and her cruise, but I saw all the pictures.
Yeah. It's neat. That is really great. Well, fellas, I'll tell you what. It's great having you here. It's great talking to you. It's great seeing the enthusiasm and listening to the enthusiasm, and it's great hearing that it's going well for you all. It's it really is exciting, not only for me personally, but it's exciting for our community. It's not every day we get to grow a college in a small town, so I think we're excited. So one of the things I do want to plug to the audience is we have open enrollment for our January cohort, and we're looking for applications for our next group to start school in January. So look at us at northeastmaritime.com and look at all of our college programs, and we're hoping we can generate some excitement for people to enroll into the school. So it's we are excited to reach out to the community and have a good time. So, fellas, thanks for coming. It was a lot of fun for me this morning. It's
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
It's really great seeing you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you more on campus and getting to interact with you more, and hopefully sailing on Frithia with you all. This is Eric Dawicki, President of Northeast Maritime Institute, with Maritime Matters, 1420 AM Radio, WBSM. 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 WBSM.